What is going on, people? I will link a great full read by Decay on this, guys. Actually broken last week. Bit late on this one, but still a gigantic story. That revolving around esports associations, player associations. This one pertaining to the CSGO Player Association, better known as the CSPPA. Now, apparently withholding payment from them will be Flashpoint League. Long time since we've talked about them last, a payment of $165,000 they apparently are not paying to the Counter-Strike Player Association for a variety of reasons. Also, actually invoking responses of some pretty big figures out there. Heroic CEO getting involved, as well as 100 Thieves VP of Esports, that being Jacob Anderson, even replying to this. And dare I say it, for a headline, we could have a player association being accused potentially of poaching. Which, the last time we talked about that, that's going to be our boy Ocelot. Yet never confirmed cases of poaching in esports. Just a common meme and joke is to refer to G2 and Ocelot of poaching, because whenever we hear about poaching, it's very hard to define. It's also even harder to catch and actually, understand exactly what classifies as poaching and should be punished. But either way, apparently CSGO Player Association could be doing that. And as to the many reasons out there why the league is actually holding back that payment of $165,000, they state unresponsiveness, competing interest, but also lost revenue because of the association, with a lack of initiative when it comes time for the CSGO Player Association. They also claim the CSPPA lack of response and signed paperwork for players when it came time for testing monitors for a sponsorship caused the deal to be lost, and that thus the loss of revenue. That was only claim number one. The second claim states that the CSPPA did not have proper discussions to address Flashpoint rules and fining procedures, and without these rules being discussed, they actually could not fully implement those fines and procedures as well. Obviously, guys, if you cannot fine players, you can't incentivize them to also follow the rules, and if you can't fine a player, you really can't force them to do something. They actually state it caused a lot of players to show up late when it came time for scheduled game times. Shouts to Scump and Call of Duty. We know all about fines. When it comes time for other franchise leagues, implementing fines is a very, very important feature to keep your players in line, and they argue the CSPPA did not help them do that. The third claim is then their failure to make their own ranking system. They wanted to make a competing ranking system with HLTV and ESL, a lot of leagues having their own personalized ranking systems. Apparently that did fall through. And then the biggest yikes and claim being made against them is the fourth claim, in which apparently the CSPPA leadership acted as player agents for players, what Flashpoint calls a conflict, as the CS Player Association is obviously supposed to act for all players equally, but in this case, they may not have. Stating the Heroic roster agreed to salary terms to be transferred to Fun Plus Phoenix. As many of you guys know, FPX eventually did join the league, that being Flashpoint League, but it was not with that said Heroic roster. After being given advice by the CSPPA leadership, they asked for a higher request based on their advice, causing the entire deal to fall through, and thus FPX having to get a full roster last minute. Now, this is what prompted responses after the CSGO Player Association has also responded and denied these said claims. Heroic CEO steps back in and says, "Hello, remember me?" And that's why 100 Thieves VP of Esports, that being Jacob, great name by the way, he also stepped back in and kind of inferred and insinuated, is that the right word there, guys? That potentially poaching was involved, or acting with player interest. As a player association, you're supposed to act for all players equally, and if you're trying to intermingle with these dealings, whoo-wee, that's something, this is an interesting story to cover. So that is why Flashpoint League is withholding payment so far, because of lost revenue, because of the lack of initiative and unresponsiveness from this league, which involves a conflict with them potentially helping out some players with more interest than others, right? And what could be determined as poaching, that's such a tricky term to use, but I never thought I would be covering potentially a player association for any esport potentially kind of leaning towards a poaching deal. It's just this is a weird one. By the way, CS Player Association has been given flack in the past for not really doing too much in the scene, albeit though when it comes time for other esports and their player associations, we've seen a similar lack of progress when it comes time for really unionizing, maybe not the best word, for grouping up and actually having some very, very front foot forward associations making some very progressive moves. We haven't really seen it anywhere. As of right now, though, the CS Player Association under fire yet again. We will see where this goes as actions are still ongoing. A great read by Decay, again linked down below for all of you guys. What do you think about it? Pretty crazy, huh? Until next time, drink that water, drink that coffee. I'll see you guys back here sometime soon.